The War Within. Conquering the Enemy That Lives in Your Head. Chapter 1. Know Your Enemy. Understanding the force that has been defeating you.
You cannot defeat an enemy you do not understand. This is the first rule of warfare. It was true when Sun Tzu wrote it thousands of years ago. It was true when generals studied their opponents before every major battle in history. And it is true right now in the war you're fighting inside your own head. Before we go any further, before I give you weapons and tactics and battle plans, you must understand exactly who and what you are fighting. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. You have been losing this war for years, maybe decades. And the main reason you have been losing is that you did not even know there was a war happening. You thought it was just you. You thought you were lazy, undisciplined, weak, broken in some fundamental way that could not be fixed. You were wrong. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are under attack.
What is the enemy? There is something living in your mind that does not want you to succeed. I need you to understand this clearly, so let me say it again. There is a force inside your head that actively works against your goals, your dreams, and your potential. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is psychological reality. Every time you have set a goal and abandoned it, the enemy won. Every time you knew what you should do but did not do it, the enemy won. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up, chose comfort over growth, or talked yourself out of taking action, the enemy won. The enemy has many names. Psychologists call it resistance. Some call it the saboteur or the shadow. Stephen Pressfield calls it resistance with a capital R. Religious traditions have called it temptation, the adversary, the lower self. I simply call it the enemy, because that is what it is. And the sooner you see it as an enemy, something separate from you that must be defeated, the sooner you will start winning. Here is what you need to understand about this enemy. The enemy is not you. It is a part of you. There is a difference. You are the one listening to these words right now. You are the one who wants to change, who picked up this audiobook, who is tired of living beneath your potential. That is the real you. The enemy is something else. It is a collection of all your fears, all your doubts, all your destructive impulses gathered together into a voice that speaks inside your head. It formed over years, maybe over your entire lifetime, and its only purpose is to keep you exactly where you are. The enemy wants one thing: to prevent change. Why? Because change is threatening to the enemy. Change means uncertainty. Change means risk. Change means stepping outside the comfort zone that the enemy has carefully constructed around your life. The enemy does not care about your happiness. It does not care about your fulfillment. It does not care about your potential or your purpose. The enemy only cares about one thing: keeping you safe. And its definition of safe is keeping you small.
Where the enemy comes from. The enemy was not always your enemy. This is important to understand. The enemy did not appear in your mind to ruin your life. It appeared to protect you, and for a while, maybe it did. The enemy is rooted in your survival instincts. Thousands of years ago, when humans lived in dangerous environments, surrounded by predators and threats, caution was essential. The instinct to avoid risk, to stay with the tribe, to not stand out, to conserve energy, these instincts kept your ancestors alive. But you were not running from predators anymore. You were trying to build a career, create something meaningful, become the person you are capable of being, and those ancient survival instincts have become a prison. The enemy also comes from your childhood. When you were young, you learned rules about the world. Some of those rules protected you. Do not touch the hot stove. Look both ways before crossing the street. But other rules were handed to you by people who were afraid, parents who meant well but projected their own fears onto you, teachers who valued obedience over courage, a culture that rewarded conformity over authenticity. You were told, do not take risks, do not fail, do not stand out, do not want too much. And somewhere along the way, those external voices became an internal voice. the enemy was born. The enemy also feeds on your past failures. Every time you tried something and it did not work, the enemy took notes. It cataloged your pain, your embarrassment, your disappointment, and now it uses those memories against you. Remember last time you tried this? Remember how badly it went? Remember how people laughed? How you felt like a fool? How you failed? The enemy has a perfect memory for your worst moments. It will remind you of them every time you try to move forward. And finally, the enemy grows stronger every time you obey it. Every time the enemy said don't and you didn't, it gained power. Every time the enemy said you can't and you believed it, it grew stronger. Every time the enemy offered you comfort and you accept it, it became more confident that it could control you. The enemy you face today is the product of years of reinforcement. You trained it to dominate you. Every surrender made it stronger. But here's the good news. What was trained can be untrained. What was built can be destroyed. The enemy grew strong through your cooperation, and it will weaken when you stop cooperating.
The enemy's tactics. The enemy is sophisticated. It has been studying you your entire life. It knows your weaknesses better than anyone because it is inside your head, watching everything, taking notes. The enemy does not use one tactic. It uses many, and it adapts to whatever works best against you. Let me show you the enemy's primary weapons. The voice of doubt. You can't do this. Who do you think you are? You're not smart enough, talented enough, good enough. People like you don't achieve things like that. This voice attacks your fundamental belief in yourself. It makes you question whether you have what it takes before you even try. The enemy knows that if it can kill your belief, it does not need to fight you on anything else. You will defeat yourself. The voice of delay. Start tomorrow. Now isn't the right time. You need to learn more first. Wait until you feel ready. This voice is insidious because it does not tell you not to act. It tells you not to act yet. It preserves the illusion that you will eventually do the thing while ensuring you never actually do it. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month becomes never. The enemy loves the voice of delay because it does not feel like defeat. It feels reasonable, responsible even, but it is a trap. The voice of fear. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if you lose everything? What if it's all for nothing? This voice magnifies risk and minimizes reward. It takes every possible negative outcome and presents it as the most likely outcome. It ignores the cost of inaction, which is often far greater than the cost of action, and focuses only on what could go wrong. The enemy wants you paralyzed by fear. A paralyzed enemy does not need to be fought. The voice of comfort. You deserve a break. You've worked hard enough today. Just this once won't hurt. Life is short. Enjoy yourself. This voice is perhaps the most dangerous because it sounds kind. It sounds like self-care. But there is a difference between genuine rest and enemy-sponsored escape. The enemy uses comfort as a weapon, offering you immediate pleasure to prevent long-term achievement. The voice of comfort whispers when you are about to do something hard. It offers you an easy way out, and every time you take it, the enemy wins. The voice of comparison. Look at them, they're so much further ahead. You're too old to start now. Others have natural talent, you don't. You'll never catch up. This voice steals your focus from your own journey and fixes it on others. It uses other people's success as evidence of your failure. It ignores the fact that everyone's path is different, that you cannot see others' struggles, that comparison is meaningless. The enemy loves comparison because it is endless. There will always be someone to compare yourself to, and as long as you are looking at others, you are not building your own life. The voice of destruction. What's the point anyway? Nothing matters. You've already ruined it. You might as well give up. This is the enemy's nuclear option. When other voices fail, the enemy attacks your sense of meaning itself. It tells you that nothing you do matters, that change is impossible, that you should stop trying entirely. This voice often appears after a failure or setback. The enemy uses your pain to deliver a killing blow.
The enemy's greatest trick. The enemy has one trick that makes all its other tactics possible. It is the master deception upon which everything else depends. The enemy makes you think it is you. When the voice of doubt speaks, you do not hear it as an attack from an external force. You hear it as your own thought, your own assessment of reality. "I can't do this" does not sound like enemy propaganda. It sounds like honest self-evaluation. "I'm just not disciplined" does not sound like a lie. It sounds like an accurate description of who you are. This is why the enemy is so hard to fight. It wears your voice. It speaks your thoughts. It has convinced you that you are the problem. You have probably said things like, "I'm lazy," "I'm a procrastinator," "I'm not a morning person," "I just don't have willpower." Every one of those statements is a victory for the enemy, because every time you claim a weakness as part of your identity, you stop fighting it. You accept it as reality. You surrender. Here's the truth. You are not lazy. Laziness is an enemy attack. You are not a procrastinator. Procrastination is an enemy tactic. You do not lack willpower. Your willpower is being systematically undermined by an enemy that knows exactly how to drain it. The first and most important victory in this war is separation. You must learn to hear the enemy's voice and recognize it as the enemy, not as yourself. When the voice says, "I can't do this," you must learn to translate, "The enemy is telling me I can't do this." When the voice says, "Start tomorrow," you must hear, "The enemy wants me to delay." When the voice says, "You're not good enough," you must understand, "The enemy is attacking my belief in myself." This separation does not make the voice disappear, but it changes your relationship to it. You are no longer identified with the attack. You are the warrior being attacked, and warriors can fight back.
Naming the enemy. I'm going to suggest something that may sound strange, but it works. Give your enemy a name. A literal name, a human name, or any name that makes the enemy feel separate and concrete. This is not a game. This is a psychological tactic. When the enemy has a name, it becomes something other than you. It becomes a character in your story, and characters can be defeated. Some people name their enemy after someone who doubted them. Some choose a name that sounds weak or ridiculous, stripping the enemy of power. Some use a name that sounds dangerous, reminding them to take the threat seriously. The name does not matter. The separation matters. When you wake up in the morning and the voice says, "Stay in bed," you can respond, "That's blank trying to keep me weak. I'm getting up." When you are about to do the hard thing and the voice screams objections, you can respond, "That's blank attacking. I'm moving forward anyway." When you fail and the voice tells you to give up, you can respond, "That's blank trying to finish me off. I'm not done." Naming externalizes the enemy. Externalization creates distance. Distance creates the space to fight. You are not talking to yourself when you argue with the enemy. You are talking to a force that wants you to fail, and you are telling it no.
The first victory. By now, something should be shifting in your mind. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not fundamentally flawed. You are at war, and wars can be won. The enemy is real, but so are you. The enemy is powerful, but it can be defeated. The enemy has been winning, but only because you did not know you were fighting. Now you know. You know what the enemy is, a collection of fears, doubts, and destructive impulses that wants to keep you small. You know where it comes from: evolution, childhood programming, past failures, years of surrender. You know its tactics: doubt, delay, fear, comfort, comparison, destruction. You know its greatest trick, making you think it is you. And you know how to begin fighting: separation, recognizing the enemy's voice as something other than your own, naming it, externalizing it, creating distance. This is the first victory: awareness. The enemy has lost its greatest advantage: invisibility. You see it now. You understand what you are fighting. In the chapters ahead, I will show you where the battles are fought, what weapons to use, how to counterattack when you fail, and how to build a life of victory. But none of that matters without this first understanding.
The enemy is real. The war is real. And now, finally, you are ready to fight.
Chapter 2. The Daily Battles, where self-sabotage hides in plain sight. Wars are not won in single dramatic moments. This is one of the most important things you will ever understand about defeating the enemy within. We imagine victory as a decisive battle, a climactic confrontation where everything is settled once and for all. Movies show us the hero facing the villain in a final showdown. Books build to a moment where everything changes. But real wars, including the war inside your head, are not won that way. Real wars are won in countless small battles, daily skirmishes, moment-to-moment decisions, the accumulation of hundreds of tiny victories or tiny defeats. Most of these battles are so small you do not even notice them happening, and that is exactly where the enemy has been winning.
The morning battle. Every day, the first battle begins the moment you wake up. The alarm sounds. Before you are even fully conscious, the war has started. In that moment, two forces are in conflict. One part of you remembers why you set that alarm. It knows you have goals. It knows you have things to accomplish. It knows that how you start the day shapes everything that follows. The other part, the enemy, wants you to stay in bed. The enemy is strong in the morning, dangerously strong. Here is why. When you first wake up, your conscious mind is not fully engaged. Your defenses are down. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes rational decisions and exercises willpower, is still coming online. But the enemy does not need your prefrontal cortex. The enemy lives in the more primitive parts of your brain, the parts that seek comfort and avoid discomfort, the parts that are fully active the moment you open your eyes. This is why the enemy attacks immediately. Before you can think clearly, the enemy is already speaking. Just 5 more minutes. You're too tired. You need more sleep. The bed is warm. The room is cold. You can skip just this once. Start tomorrow. The enemy knows that if it can win this first battle, everything else becomes easier. A morning loss sets the tone for the entire day. It establishes that today is a day of surrender, not victory. Let me be very clear about what the snooze button represents. The snooze button is enemy territory. Every time you hit snooze, you are telling your subconscious mind that your commitments do not matter, that your word to yourself is not binding, that comfort is more important than discipline. And you are telling the enemy that it can win, that it should keep attacking, that you will give in if it just applies enough pressure. 1 snooze becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, and before long you are waking up defeated, rushing through your morning, already behind, already compromised, already in reaction mode instead of action mode. The enemy wins before breakfast. But it does not have to be this way. The morning battle can be won. And when you win it, you carry that victory into everything that follows. When the alarm goes off, that is the moment of truth. That is when you decide whether today will be a day of victory or defeat. 5 seconds. You have about 5 seconds between when the alarm sounds and when the enemy gains control. In those 5 seconds, you can move. You can get your feet on the floor. You can stand up. Once you are up, the hardest part is over. The enemy's morning attack depends on keeping you horizontal. Once you are vertical and moving, you have already won the first battle. Do not negotiate with the enemy in those first seconds. There is nothing to negotiate. The alarm went off because you decided in a moment of clarity that you would get up at that time. That decision was made. The negotiation is over. The enemy wants you to reconsider. It wants you to evaluate whether you really need to get up. It wants you to weigh how you feel right now against the goals you set earlier. Do not engage. Just move.
The resistance points. Throughout your day, there are specific moments when the enemy attacks with particular intensity. I call these resistance points. Resistance points are the moments when doing the right thing requires overcoming internal opposition. They are the thresholds you must cross to make progress, and the enemy guards them ferociously. Let me show you the most common resistance points. Starting work. You sit down to work on something important. Immediately, the enemy attacks. Check your email first.
Just a quick look at social media. You should organize your desk before starting. Get a cup of coffee first. The enemy does not want you to start. It knows that starting is the hardest part. Once you're engaged in meaningful work, momentum takes over. But before you start, you are vulnerable. This is why people can spend hours getting ready to work without actually working. The enemy keeps finding pre-work activities to delay the moment of beginning. Doing the hard thing. There is always an easy way and a hard way. There is always a comfortable choice and an uncomfortable choice. The hard thing might be a difficult conversation you need to have, a task you have been avoiding, a project that requires deep focus, a decision you have been postponing. When you approach the hard thing, the enemy launches its most aggressive attacks. Do the easy things first. Build momentum. You're not in the right headspace for this right now. This can wait until tomorrow when you're fresher. Maybe this doesn't even need to be done. The enemy knows that the hard things are usually the important things. If it can keep you away from them, it can keep you from making real progress. Making decisions. Decisions are dangerous territory for the enemy because decisions lead to action. So the enemy attacks with paralysis. You don't have enough information. What if you choose wrong? Maybe you should think about this more. Wait until you're certain. The enemy loves indefinite deliberation. As long as you are thinking about it, you are not doing it. As long as you are weighing options, you are not committing to any option. Paralysis disguised as prudence. Procrastination disguised as thoughtfulness. The enemy is clever. Facing discomfort. This is perhaps the enemy's most reliable weapon. The enemy knows you want to avoid discomfort. Physical discomfort, emotional discomfort, social discomfort, any discomfort at all. So whenever you approach something uncomfortable, the enemy offers you an exit. You don't have to feel this. There's an easier way. Why put yourself through this? Just avoid it. But here is what the enemy does not want you to understand. Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort. Growth requires discomfort. Achievement requires discomfort. Discipline requires discomfort. If you only do what is comfortable, you will only have what you have always had. The enemy uses your desire for comfort to imprison you in mediocrity.
The afternoon and evening ambush. The morning is not the only time the enemy attacks. There are patterns throughout the day, and understanding them is essential to winning. The afternoon slump. Somewhere in the early to mid-afternoon, your energy dips. This is biological. Circadian rhythms create a natural low point in the early afternoon. The enemy knows this, and it attacks precisely when you are weakest. You've done enough for today. You deserve a break. Take it easy this afternoon. Work harder tomorrow. You're too tired to do anything worthwhile anyway. During the afternoon slump, resistance to distraction is low. Resistance to comfort is low. Resistance to quitting is low. Many people lose their afternoons entirely. They slide into low-value activities, endless scrolling, meaningless busy work. They tell themselves they are working, but they are not really working. The enemy has won without them even noticing. The evening ambush. By evening, your willpower is depleted. You have been making decisions all day. You have been resisting temptations all day. Your prefrontal cortex is tired. This is when the enemy brings out its most seductive weapons. You've worked hard. You deserve to relax. Just a few hours of television. You need to unwind. Have another drink. Have more food. You've earned it. Skip the gym tonight. Go tomorrow. The evening is when most people's good intentions die. They had plans for after work, exercise, learning, working on a side project, spending quality time with family. But by the time evening arrives, the enemy has convinced them to surrender to comfort. Here is the dangerous truth about evening losses. They compound into morning defeats. When you surrender in the evening, eating poorly, staying up too late, numbing yourself with screens, you wake up compromised. You are tired. You feel guilty. Your energy is low. The enemy attacks that morning with even more ammunition. See how tired you are? You should have slept more. You feel terrible. Take it easy today. Yesterday was a loss. What's one more day? Evening defeats make morning battles harder. Morning defeats make the whole day a loss. The cycle continues until you break it.
The invisible battles. So far, I have been describing battles you might notice if you pay attention. But the enemy's most effective work happens in battles you do not even know you are fighting. These are the invisible battles, the negotiations that happen below the surface of conscious awareness, the surrenders that have become so automatic you do not recognize them as choices. Let me show you what I mean. Right now, there are things you believe about yourself that are not true. They are enemy propaganda that you accepted so long ago you think they are facts. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not disciplined. I've never been good at that. That's just how I am. Every one of these beliefs is a surrender you made so completely that you forgot it was a battle. At some point, you struggled to wake up in the morning. Instead of recognizing this as a battle to be won, you accepted it as identity. I'm not a morning person. The war was over. The enemy won permanently. At some point, you failed to maintain discipline. Instead of recognizing this as a battle you lost and could fight again, you accepted it as identity. I'm just not disciplined. The enemy claimed territory you stopped trying to retake. These invisible surrenders are devastating because they remove whole areas of your life from the battlefield. You cannot win battles you have already conceded. The enemy loves invisible battles. It loves automatic surrenders. It loves beliefs that prevent you from fighting. Part of becoming a warrior is making the invisible visible. It is questioning the beliefs you have accepted without examination. It is asking, is this really true? Or is this a battle I stopped fighting? Often, you will find that your limitations are not limitations at all. They are old defeats that you never challenged again.
The compounding effect. Here is the mathematical reality of this war. Each battle you lose makes the next battle harder. Each battle you win makes the next battle easier. This is the compounding effect, and it works in both directions. When you hit snooze, you have proven to yourself that you do not keep commitments. The next time you try to keep a commitment, that proof is in the background, weakening your resolve. When you avoid the hard thing, you have proven to yourself that you avoid hard things. The next hard thing will be even easier to avoid. When you surrender to comfort, you have strengthened the neural pathways of surrender. Surrender becomes more automatic, more natural, more default. This is how people slide into lives of quiet desperation, not through one catastrophic defeat, but through thousands of tiny losses that compound over months and years. But the same mechanism works in reverse. When you get up at the alarm, you have proven to yourself that you keep commitments. The next commitment is easier to keep. When you do the hard thing, you have proven to yourself that you do hard things. The next hard thing is more approachable. When you choose discipline over comfort, you have strengthened the neural pathways of discipline. Discipline becomes more automatic, more natural, more default. This is how people build extraordinary lives, not through one dramatic victory, but through thousands of tiny wins that compound over months and years. Every battle matters. Every decision matters. Not because any single choice will change your life, but because every choice changes what the next choice will be. Today's surrender is tomorrow's weakness. Today's victory is tomorrow's strength. The enemy understands compound interest. It is patient. It is happy to win small battles day after day, knowing that each win makes future wins more likely. You must understand compound interest too. You must be willing to fight small battles day after day, knowing that each win makes future wins more likely. The war is not won in a moment. It is won in a million moments.
Mapping your battles. Before you can win consistently, you need to know where you are fighting. Your battle map is not the same as anyone else's. The enemy attacks you at specific times, in specific ways, targeting your specific weaknesses. You need to identify your resistance points, the moments where you consistently lose. For some people, it is the morning. They lose before the day even starts. For some people, it is starting work. They can get up, they can go through the motions, but when it is time to do deep work, the enemy wins. For some people, it is the evening. They do well during the day, but surrender every night. For some people, it is specific triggers. Stress leads to eating, boredom leads to scrolling, loneliness leads to destructive behavior. Your job is to identify your patterns. Where does the enemy win most often? What time of day? What activities? What triggers? What lies does the enemy tell you in those moments? Once you see the patterns, you can prepare for them. You can station your defenses at the points where attacks are most likely. You can have weapons ready for the specific tactics the enemy uses against you. Blind warriors lose. seeing warriors have a chance.
The truth about small battles. I want to leave you with this. You may be tempted to dismiss small battles as unimportant, hitting snooze once, skipping one workout, one evening of mindless scrolling. It's just one time, it doesn't matter. This is enemy propaganda. Every time matters, not because one battle changes everything, but because one battle changes the next battle, and the next battle changes the next, and so on, compounding forever. The person you will be in 5 years is being shaped right now in the smallest moments of your day. The moment you decide to get up or stay in bed. The moment you decide to start or delay. The moment you decide to do the hard thing or avoid it. The moment you decide discipline or comfort. These moments are everything. The enemy knows this. The enemy fights for every moment because it understands the compounding effect. You must fight for every moment too. Not because you must be perfect. You will not be. You will lose battles. We will talk about that in a later chapter. But you must see every moment as a battle. You must treat every decision as meaningful. You must recognize that there are no small surrenders. There are only surrenders that compound into large defeats over time. The war is not fought in grand gestures. The war is fought right now, in the next decision you make, in the next moment of resistance you either overcome or surrender to. That is where the war lives. That is where you must fight.
What you now understand. You now see what you did not see before. The war within is not a single battle. It is a campaign of endless small engagements, fought every day, often every hour. The enemy attacks in the morning, trying to win before you are even awake. The enemy guards the resistance points, starting, doing hard things, making decisions, facing discomfort. The enemy ambushes you in the afternoon slump and the evening depletion. The enemy fights invisible battles, attacking beliefs you do not even know are being contested. And everything compounds. Every loss makes losing easier. Every win makes winning easier. You cannot control the outcome of the war in a single day, but you can control the outcome of this day's battles, and this day's battles will shape what tomorrow's battles look like. Win enough days, and you win the war. That is the only way the war is won, not in a single dramatic moment, but in a million undramatic ones, starting with the next moment, starting now.
Chapter 3. Weapons of War. The arsenal for defeating your inner enemy. A soldier without weapons is not a soldier. He is a victim. You can understand your enemy perfectly. You can see where the battles are fought. You can anticipate every attack. But if you have nothing to fight with, understanding alone will not save you. It is time to arm yourself. In this chapter, I will give you 8 weapons. Each one is designed to defeat the enemy in specific ways. Each one has been tested in real combat. Not theoretical exercises, but actual battles fought by real people against the voice in their heads. You do not need to master all 8 weapons immediately. You do not need to use all of them in every battle, but you need to know what is in your arsenal. You need to practice with each weapon until you can deploy it without thinking. An armed warrior defeats an unarmed enemy. Let us build your arsenal.
Weapon number 1. Awareness. You cannot fight what you cannot see. This is why awareness is the first weapon. Before you can use any other tactic, you must be able to recognize that you are under attack. The enemy's greatest advantage is stealth. It speaks in your voice. It disguises its attacks as your own thoughts. When it says you can't do this, you hear it as self-assessment, not as an assault. Awareness strips away this camouflage. Awareness means developing the ability to observe your own thoughts in real time, to notice when the enemy is speaking, to catch the attack as it happens, not hours later when you realize you wasted another day. This is not as mystical as it sounds. It is simply paying attention to your internal dialogue. When you are about to do something important and you feel resistance, pause. Listen. What is the voice saying? This is too hard. You're not ready. Do it later. What's the point?
What's the point? When you hear these words, something should click. That is the enemy. That is an attack. The moment you recognize the attack, you have created space. You are no longer identified with the voice. You are the observer of the voice, and observers can choose their response. A simple practice: when you notice resistance, say to yourself, out loud if possible, I notice the enemy is telling me. I notice the enemy is telling me to hit snooze. I notice the enemy is telling me to check social media instead of working. I notice the enemy is telling me I'm not good enough. This simple act of naming what is happening transforms your relationship to it. You are no longer trapped inside the attack. You are watching it from outside. Awareness does not make the enemy disappear, but it makes the enemy visible, and visible enemies can be fought.
Weapon number 2, separation. The enemy's greatest trick is making you think it is you. Separation is the weapon that breaks this trick. We discussed this in Chapter 1. The enemy is not you, it is a part of you. But understanding this intellectually is different from applying it in the heat of battle. Separation means actively creating distance between your true self and the enemy's voice. When the voice says, I can't do this, you translate, the enemy is telling me I can't do this. When the voice says, I'm too tired, you translate, the enemy is using tiredness against me. When the voice says, I'm lazy, you translate, the enemy wants me to believe I am lazy. This is not word games. This is psychological warfare. Every time you claim the enemy's words as your own, you strengthen its hold on you. Every time you separate yourself from its words, you weaken that hold. Third-person self-talk is a powerful separation technique. Instead of saying, I feel like giving up, say, your name is being attacked right now. The enemy wants your name to quit. This might feel strange at first. It might feel awkward to talk about yourself in the third person. But research consistently shows that third-person self-talk improves emotional regulation and decision-making under pressure. Why? Because it creates distance. It allows you to see yourself as you would see a friend in the same situation, and you would never tell a friend that the enemy's lies are true. Another separation technique is the naming exercise from Chapter 1. When you have given the enemy a literal name, you can address it directly. Nice try, enemy's name. I'm doing it anyway. I hear you, enemy's name, but I'm not listening. Enemy's name. You've won before, not today. This might sound silly. It is not. It is combat psychology. The more you treat the enemy as separate from yourself, the less power it has over you. You are not your worst thoughts. You are the one who must fight them.
Weapon number 3, opposite action. This is perhaps the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. Opposite action is simple. When the enemy tells you to do something, you do the opposite. When the enemy says don't, you do. When the enemy says stop, you continue. When the enemy says tomorrow, you start now. When the enemy says you can't, you prove that you can. The enemy is a compass pointing away from what matters. If you simply do the opposite of what it suggests, you will almost always be moving in the right direction. Think about it. What does the enemy tell you to avoid? Hard work, discipline, confrontation, risk, growth. What does the enemy tell you to pursue? Comfort, escape, delay, safety, stagnation. The enemy's guidance is perfectly inverted. Its map is upside down. When you follow it, you move away from everything you want. Opposite action flips the map. The enemy says hit snooze. You get up immediately. The enemy says scroll through social media. You put down the phone and work. The enemy says avoid the difficult conversation. You have it today. The enemy says you're too tired to exercise. You exercise anyway. The enemy says wait until you feel ready. You start now, unready. Here is a crucial insight. The stronger the resistance, the more important the action. When you feel massive resistance to something, pay attention. That is the enemy deploying maximum force. And the enemy only deploys maximum force when it is protecting something important. Your biggest opportunities are guarded by your biggest resistance. The things that will change your life are the things the enemy fights hardest to prevent. So when you feel overwhelming resistance, when every part of you screams to stop, to avoid, to delay, that is precisely when you must use opposite action. The resistance is a sign that you are approaching something that matters. Move toward it.
Weapon number 4, pre-commitment. The enemy attacks at decision points. Every time you have to choose between discipline and comfort, between action and avoidance, between the hard path and the easy path, the enemy attacks. Pre-commitment eliminates decision points. The strategy is simple. Make decisions before the moment of battle, not during it. When you set your alarm at night, you are making a decision in a moment of clarity. You are rested. You are thinking clearly. You know what you want. When the alarm goes off in the morning, you are vulnerable. You are tired. You are not thinking clearly. The enemy is attacking. If you wait until morning to decide whether to get up, you will lose that battle more often than you win. The conditions favor the enemy. But if you pre-commit, if you decide the night before that the alarm going off means you get up, no discussion, no negotiation, no reconsideration, then there is no battle. The decision was already made. Pre-commitment means removing choices from moments when you are weak. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. When you wake up, there is no decision to make about whether to exercise. The preparation itself is the commitment. Schedule your important work at specific times. When that time arrives, there is no decision about whether to work. The calendar has already decided. Tell someone you will do something. Now there is no decision about whether to follow through. Your word is on the line. The principle is this: the enemy cannot attack a decision that has already been made. When you pre-commit, you fight the battle in advance, at a time of your choosing, when you are strong. Then you simply execute the decision without reopening the debate. Burn the ships. There is a story, possibly legend, about a commander who, upon landing on enemy shores, ordered his ships burned. His soldiers watched their only means of retreat go up in flames. Now there was no decision about whether to fight, no decision about whether to retreat. The ships were gone. Victory was the only option. This is extreme pre-commitment, and you can use versions of it in your own life. Delete the apps that waste your time. There is no decision to make about whether to scroll. The option is gone. Cancel subscriptions that enable bad habits. There is no decision to make. The access is removed. Tell everyone about your goal. There is no decision about whether to quit. Your reputation is on the line. Remove the option of retreat. Make the only path forward. The enemy cannot fight you if there is nothing to fight about. Weapon number 5, environment design. You are constantly influenced by your environment. The things you see, the objects around you, the spaces you inhabit, they all shape your behavior, often without your conscious awareness. The enemy knows this. It uses your environment against you. The phone on your desk calls to you, offering distraction. The junk food in your pantry tempts you, offering comfort. The comfortable couch invites you, offering escape. Every temptation in your environment is enemy ammunition. Environment design means reshaping your surroundings to favor victory rather than defeat. Remove enemy resources. Take the temptations out of your environment. If you cannot resist junk food, do not keep it in your house. The enemy cannot offer you cookies if there are no cookies. If you cannot resist your phone, put it in another room. Leave it in your car. The enemy cannot offer you distraction if the device is not accessible. If you cannot resist social media, delete the apps. Use website blockers. The enemy cannot lure you into scrolling if scrolling is not possible. Add ally resources. Put things in your environment that support your goals. Put your workout clothes where you will see them first thing in the morning. The visual reminder is a prompt for action. Put books on your coffee table instead of a remote control. The default activity becomes reading instead of watching. Put healthy food at eye level in your refrigerator. Make the good choice the easy choice. Create friction for bad choices. Make the wrong thing harder to do. If you want to watch less television, unplug the TV and put the remote in a drawer. You can still watch, but you have to take extra steps. The friction is often enough to break the automatic behavior. If you want to buy less impulsively, remove saved credit cards from websites. The extra steps to enter payment information give you time to reconsider. Remove friction for good choices. Make the right thing easier to do. If you want to exercise in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes. One less step between waking and moving. If you want to write every day, keep your document open on your computer. When you sit down, the blank page is already waiting. Your environment is either helping you or helping the enemy. There is no neutral ground. Audit your surroundings. What is making bad choices easy? What is making good choices hard? Then redesign ruthlessly. The warrior shapes the battlefield before the battle begins.
Weapon number 6, identity statements. What you believe about yourself shapes what you do. If you believe you are lazy, you will act lazy. The belief becomes permission. If you believe you are disciplined, you will act disciplined. The belief becomes expectation. The enemy attacks your identity constantly. It tells you that you are weak, that you have no willpower, that you are not the kind of person who succeeds. These attacks are devastating because they do not target individual behaviors. They target the source of all behaviors. Identity statements are the counterweapon. An identity statement starts with, I am the person who. I am the person who gets up when the alarm goes off. I am the person who does hard things. I am the person who keeps commitments to myself. I am the person who finishes what I start. I am the person who moves toward fear. These statements do not describe who you have been. They declare who you are becoming. When you say, I am the person who exercises daily, you are not reporting a fact about your past. You are creating a framework for your future. Now, when the moment of decision arrives, the question is different. It is no longer, do I feel like exercising today? It is this what the person I am would do? If you are the person who exercises daily, then you exercise, period. The identity decides. This is more powerful than willpower. Willpower is finite and depletes throughout the day. Identity is constant. You do not stop being who you are when you get tired. Start building your identity deliberately. Write down 5 to 10 identity statements that describe the person you are committed to being. Read them every morning. Say them out loud. This is not affirmation nonsense. This is combat psychology. You are programming yourself for victory. When the enemy attacks with, you're too lazy to do this, you counter with your identity. I am the person who does hard things. This is who I am. The enemy attacks who it thinks you are. Make sure who you are is a warrior.
Weapon number 7, physical override. Sometimes the mind is too compromised to win the battle directly. Willpower is depleted. The enemy is attacking hard. Mental tactics are not working. This is when you use physical override. The principle is simple. The body leads, the mind follows. When you cannot think your way to action, you move your way there. The enemy lives in your thoughts. It does not control your legs. It does not control your arms. It can tell you to stay in bed, but it cannot physically hold you there. So when the mental battle is lost, take physical action. Stand up, move, walk out the door, start the exercise, pick up the phone and make the call. Do not wait until you feel motivated. Do not wait until you win the internal argument. Just move. Physical movement breaks mental loops. When you are stuck in rumination, when you are paralyzed by the enemy's attacks, movement interrupts the pattern. Go for a walk, do push-ups, take a cold shower. The physical action changes your physiology. It changes your hormone balance. It shifts your brain state. Suddenly, the mental battle looks different. Cold exposure is particularly powerful as a physical override. Cold water, whether a cold shower or cold immersion, shocks your system. It activates stress responses that actually improve your mental state afterward. It proves to you that you can endure discomfort. Every morning when you step into a cold shower, despite the enemy screaming at you to stay warm, you prove that the enemy does not control you. You demonstrate dominance. This victory transfers. If you can do that, you can do other hard things too. The evidence builds. Physical challenges of any kind build mental strength. Run when you want to stop. Hold the plank when your muscles burn. Do the extra rep when everything says quit. Every time your body obeys you instead of the enemy, you strengthen your command over yourself. The body is a weapon. Use it. Weapon number 8, the mantra. Words have power. The enemy knows this. It uses words against you constantly. Words of doubt, fear, and defeat. The mantra is your counterattack, a phrase or set of phrases that you use to override the enemy's programming. A good mantra is short, memorable, powerful. It captures a truth that defeats the enemy's lies. Here are examples. I don't feel like it, and I'm doing it anyway. This mantra acknowledges what the enemy knows, that you do not feel like it, and makes clear that feelings do not determine actions. The enemy wants me to quit. I continue. This mantra uses awareness and separation, reminding you that the desire to quit is an enemy attack, not your own true will. I've survived worse than this feeling. This mantra puts current discomfort in perspective. The enemy exaggerates how bad things are. This phrase reminds you that you have handled harder things. Do it scared, do it tired, do it anyway. This mantra removes the preconditions the enemy tries to impose. The enemy says, wait until you are not scared, not tired, until conditions are right. This phrase says conditions do not matter. This is the person I am. This mantra invokes identity. Whatever you are doing because it is who you are. Find mantras that resonate with you. They might come from this list. They might come from books you have read, people you admire, or phrases you invent yourself. Write them down, memorize them, use them. When the enemy attacks, the mantra is your shield. When you're about to quit, the mantra is your war cry. When everything in you says stop, the mantra gives you the words to continue. The enemy speaks constantly. Make sure you have something to say back. Your arsenal. You now have 8 weapons. Awareness, the ability to see the attack as it happens. Separation, the ability to recognize the enemy as something other than yourself. Opposite action, the practice of doing what the enemy says not to do. Pre-commitment, the strategy of deciding before the battle. Environment design, the reshaping of your surroundings to favor victory. Identity statements, the declarations of who you are becoming. Physical override, the use of body movement to break mental resistance. The mantra, the phrases that counter the enemy's voice. You do not need to use all 8 weapons in every battle. Some battles require only awareness. Seeing the attack clearly is enough to defeat it. Some battles require pre-commitment. You win before the moment even arrives. Some battles require physical override. You are too depleted for mental tactics and must simply move. Learn all 8, practice all 8, then deploy whichever weapon the battle requires. An armed warrior is a dangerous warrior. You are now armed.
Chapter 4, the counterattack. When you lose and how to strike back. You will lose battles. I need you to understand this from the beginning of this chapter, or everything that follows will be useless. You will not win every fight against the enemy. No warrior in history has won every battle. The enemy will occasionally succeed. It will get through your defenses. It will exploit a weakness. It will catch you at a vulnerable moment. This is not failure. This is war. What matters is not whether you lose battles. You will. What matters is what happens after you lose. The enemy has a strategy for your defeats. It counts on this strategy, and if you do not understand it, a single lost battle can become a lost war. The enemy's post-victory tactics. When the enemy wins a battle, it does not celebrate and move on. It attacks again, immediately, trying to turn one victory into total defeat. Here is what the enemy says after you fail. See, you can't change.
This is the enemy's favorite post-victory attack. It uses your failure as evidence that change is impossible, that you are permanently flawed, that everything you have been working toward is fantasy. One lost battle becomes proof of permanent defeat. You might as well give up. The enemy tells you that since you have already lost, there is no point in continuing. The day is ruined, the week is ruined, the whole effort is ruined. This is absurd logic, but in the moment of defeat, it can feel convincing. You'll never be able to do this. The enemy projects one moment into all moments. One failure becomes a prediction of endless failure. The pattern is set. The future is determined. You're back to who you really are. The enemy tells you that your efforts at change were pretense, and this failure reveals the truth. The real you is weak. The disciplined version was an act. These attacks happen within seconds of defeat. Before you have even finished falling, the enemy is piling on, trying to keep you down. This is why so many people spiral. One lost battle becomes two. Two becomes a week becomes a month becomes, I guess I'm just not the kind of person who can change. The enemy does not win the war by winning one battle. It wins by using that one battle to destroy your will to fight. Your job is to not let it.
The immediate counterattack protocol. When you lose a battle, you have a small window to respond before the enemy gains momentum. Here is what you do. Step 1. Acknowledge without drama. You lost. Say it. I lost that battle. Do not minimize it. Do not pretend it did not happen. Do not justify or rationalize. But also do not catastrophize. Do not add meaning that is not there. You lost a battle. That is all. It is not proof of permanent failure. It is not evidence of fundamental brokenness. It is not the end of your progress. You lost a battle. Warriors lose battles. Move to step 2. Step 2. No extended self-criticism. The enemy wants you to beat yourself up. It wants you to feel shame, guilt, and despair. These emotions weaken you for the next attack. Brief acknowledgement of what happened is useful. Extended self-criticism is enemy-sponsored. I lost is useful. I'm such a loser. I always do this. I'll never change. What's wrong with me is the enemy attacking under the cover of self-reflection. Do not confuse self-punishment with self-improvement. Punishing yourself does not make you stronger. It makes you weaker. Acknowledge, learn, move on. Step 3. Identify what the enemy exploited. Every defeat contains intelligence. What happened? Where did the enemy attack? What weakness did it exploit? Were you tired, hungry, emotionally triggered? Was your environment working against you? Did you fail to pre-commit? This analysis should take seconds, not hours. You are not writing an essay. You are gathering tactical information for future battles. I lost because I was exhausted and my phone was next to me. That is enough. Now you know something. Step 4. Return to action immediately. This is the most important step. The enemy expects you to stay down. It expects you to spiral. It expects one loss to cascade into many. Prove it wrong. The moment you identify what happened, take action. Any action. Preferably an action that directly contradicts the loss. If you failed to get up this morning, win a victory right now. Do something disciplined immediately. If you avoided the hard thing, go do a version of the hard thing, even a small version, right now. If you surrendered to comfort, choose discomfort right now. The immediate action serves two purposes. First, it breaks the spiral before it starts. You cannot spiral into defeat if you are busy winning. Second, it proves to you and the enemy that one loss does not determine the war. You are still fighting. You are still dangerous. The war continues. Step 5. Win a small battle to rebuild momentum. After a defeat, you may not be able to immediately win a large battle. Your confidence is shaken. Your energy is low. That is fine. Win a small one. Make your bed. Do 10 push-ups. Drink a glass of water. Write one paragraph. Organize one drawer. These are small victories, but they are victories. They reverse the momentum. They remind your brain that winning is possible. Then win another small victory and another. String enough small victories together, and you have rebuilt enough strength to take on larger battles again.
The 24-hour rule. I will give you a hard rule. You have 24 hours to process a defeat. Within 24 hours, you must be back in battle, actively fighting, winning again. Anything longer than 24 hours means the enemy is using your loss against you. The defeat has metastasized from a single battle into a war-losing wound. 24 hours is enough time to feel bad about what happened. It is enough time to extract lessons. It is enough time to adjust your approach. It is not enough time to spiral into despair. It is not enough time to abandon your goals. It is not enough time to quit. Grieve the loss, learn from it, and within 24 hours get back in the fight. This is not optional. This is the warrior's discipline. Preventing the spiral. The spiral is the enemy's ultimate weapon. One loss becomes two, two becomes three, three becomes I give up. Here is how to prevent it. Break the chain. The enemy wants you to connect defeats into a narrative. I failed yesterday, so I'm failing today, so I'll fail tomorrow. You must break this chain. Each battle is separate. Each moment is new. What happened yesterday has no power over what happens right now unless you give it that power. The last battle is over. This is a new battle. Say it, believe it. Change your environment. Sometimes you need a physical reset to get a mental reset. Leave the room where you failed. Go outside. Change locations. The physical change helps your brain register that something is different now. The context that produced the defeat is gone. You are somewhere new. Use physical movement. When you are spiraling mentally, use the body. Go for a walk, do exercises, take a cold shower. Physical movement interrupts the mental loop. It is hard to spiral while doing push-ups. The body demands your attention. Call out the spiral. Use awareness. When you notice yourself starting to spiral, connecting defeats, generalizing failure, catastrophizing, call it out. I notice the enemy is trying to turn one loss into complete defeat. I'm not falling for it. The spiral depends on you not seeing it. When you see it, you can stop it. Using defeat as fuel. Here is something the enemy does not want you to know. Defeat can make you stronger. Not automatically. If you process defeat wrong, with shame, despair, and surrender, it weakens you. But if you process defeat right, it becomes fuel for future victories. Direct your anger at the enemy. When you fail, you will feel something: frustration, anger, disappointment. The enemy wants you to direct these feelings at yourself. Self-hatred benefits the enemy. Instead, direct them at the enemy. You won that one. You got me, but you just made this personal. I am coming for you. Let the defeat sharpen your resolve. Let it make you more determined, not less. Use the loss as intelligence. Every defeat shows you something. It shows you where your defenses are weak. It shows you which tactics the enemy uses against you. It shows you what conditions make you vulnerable. This is valuable information. Use it. After a defeat, you know more than you knew before. You can prepare better for next time. The enemy revealed its strategy. Let the defeat build your story. Every hero's journey includes failure. Every warrior's tale includes battles lost. The story is not interesting if the hero never falls. The story is powerful because the hero falls and gets back up. You are building a story. The defeats are part of it. They are not the end. They are the middle. The end comes later when you look back at everything you overcame. Let the defeats be chapters in your victory story, not the final page. The only true defeat. I want to leave you with this. Losing a battle is not defeat. Losing many battles is not defeat. There is only one true defeat: stopping the fight entirely. As long as you are still fighting, you have not lost the war. The enemy's ultimate goal is not to win battles, it is to make you quit, to convince you that the war is unwinnable, to make you lay down your weapons and surrender. As long as you refuse to do that, you cannot truly be defeated. You can lose today and fight again tomorrow. You can lose this week and fight again next week. You can lose 100 battles and still win the war if you keep fighting. The only way to lose for certain is to stop. So do not stop. Fall down, get up. Fall down again, get up again. The warrior is not the one who never falls. The warrior is the one who always rises. Always rise.
Chapter 5. Victory Rituals. Living as the winner. Victory is not a moment. Victory is a way of life. I have seen people win battles for weeks, even months, and then slowly slide back into defeat. They never established the patterns that make victory sustainable. They fought hard, won temporarily, and then lost everything when their willpower ran out. This chapter is about making victory permanent, not through constant heroic effort, but through rituals, daily practices that maintain your victories without requiring you to fight every battle from scratch. The warrior who must summon maximum willpower for every decision will eventually exhaust himself. The warrior who has built rituals of victory fights from a foundation of strength, not a desperate scramble. This is how you live as the winner. The Morning Victory Protocol. We talked about the morning battle in Chapter 2. Now we talk about winning it systematically every single day. The morning is when the war is won or lost. Win consistently in the morning and you carry that victory through the entire day. Lose in the morning and you spend the rest of the day trying to recover. Here is your morning victory protocol. Wake immediately. When the alarm sounds, you move. There is no negotiation. There is no evaluation of how you feel. There is no 5 more minutes. The alarm is a signal. The signal means feet on floor. Give yourself 5 seconds. Count them if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you are up. Once you are vertical, the hardest part is over. No phone for the first 30 minutes. The phone is enemy territory in the morning. The moment you pick up your phone, you are reacting to other people's priorities. Emails, notifications, social media, all of it pulls you out of your own mind and into the demands of the world. For the first 30 minutes, at minimum, the phone does not exist. This is your time to prepare for the day on your terms. Time to win your first battles without external interference. Physical movement within 10 minutes. The body leads the mind. Within 10 minutes of waking, you should be moving. This does not need to be a full workout. It can be stretching, push-ups, a walk, jumping jacks. The movement wakes up your body, which wakes up your mind. It generates energy. It proves to you immediately that you are in control. If you can add cold water, a cold shower or cold water on your face, do it. The cold shocks your system. It tells your body that today is not a day of comfort. Today is a day of battle. Your work before the world's demands. Before you check email, before you respond to messages, before you let other people's agendas into your head, do something that matters to you. Read, write, exercise, meditate, work on your most important project. Give yourself 15 to 30 minutes of your work. Work that advances your goals. This is non-negotiable. The world will try to steal your morning. Protect it. When you complete your morning protocol, you have already won several battles before most people wake up. You have proven that today is different. You have built momentum that carries through everything that follows.
The Prepared Warrior. The Morning Victory Protocol requires preparation. You cannot win in the morning if you did not prepare the night before. The Prepared Warrior does the following every evening. Lay out everything you need. Workout clothes are ready. Work materials are organized. The book you will read is on the nightstand. When morning comes, there are no decisions to make. You do not have to find anything. You do not have to figure anything out. Everything is waiting for you. Decide tomorrow's priorities.
Before you sleep, decide the 1 to 3 most important things you will accomplish tomorrow. Write them down. Be specific. When you wake up, you do not have to decide what to do. You decided last night. Now you just execute. Remove tomorrow's obstacles. Is there anything that will get in the way tomorrow? Handle it tonight. Need to pack a lunch? Do it now. Need to prepare for a meeting? Do it now. Need to clear something off your desk? Do it now. Every obstacle you remove tonight is one less thing the enemy can exploit tomorrow. Set your intentions. Before sleep, remind yourself who you are and what you are fighting for. Review your identity statements. Recall your goals. Visualize tomorrow's victories. You are programming yourself for success. When you wake, that programming will be fresh. The enemy loves unprepared warriors. They are easy to defeat. They wake up uncertain, scrambling, reactive. Be prepared. Be deadly.
The Daily Battle Review. Every evening before you prepare for tomorrow, you review today. This takes 5 minutes. It is not journaling. It is not deep reflection. It is a tactical debrief. What battles did I win today? List them, even small ones. You got up on time. You did your morning protocol. You did the hard thing instead of avoiding it. You resisted temptation. You stayed focused. These are victories. Acknowledge them. This is not vanity. This is necessary. You need to see evidence that you are winning. The enemy will show you all your failures. You must show yourself your successes. What battles did I lose today? List them briefly. You hit snooze. You scrolled when you should have worked. You ate something you regret. You avoided the confrontation. Do not dwell. Do not shame yourself. Just note it. What did the enemy exploit? What weakness did the enemy use against you today? Were you tired, stressed, hungry? Was your environment working against you? Did you fail to prepare? This is intelligence gathering. You are learning the enemy's tactics so you can counter them. What will I do differently tomorrow? Based on what you learned, what adjustment will you make? Maybe you need more sleep. Maybe you need to remove a temptation from your environment. Maybe you need to pre-commit to something you have been leaving to willpower. One small adjustment, that is all. End the review with acknowledgement of progress, even if it was an imperfect day. You showed up, you fought, you are learning. Tomorrow you will be better. The weekly strategic review. Once per week, zoom out. The daily review looks at individual battles. The weekly review looks at the campaign. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes. Ask yourself, am I winning more than I am losing? Look at the overall trend, not individual days, but the pattern. If you are winning more battles than you are losing, you are moving forward. Even if you lose battles every day, as long as the overall trend is positive, you are winning the war. If you are losing more than winning, you need to change something. Your tactics are not working. Your weapons are not the right ones. Something needs adjustment. What patterns is the enemy using? Over a week, patterns emerge. Maybe the enemy always wins in the evening. Maybe it exploits tiredness. Maybe it attacks when you are alone. See the patterns. Once you see them, you can prepare for them. What adjustments should I make? Based on the week's data, what will you change? Maybe you need a new weapon. Maybe you need to modify your morning protocol. Maybe you need to redesign your environment. Make 1 to 2 adjustments for the coming week, not more. Too many changes at once create confusion. Celebrate progress. Warriors honor their victories. What did you accomplish this week? What battles did you win that you would have lost a month ago? What is different because you are fighting? Take a moment to feel good about what you have done. This is not complacency, it is fuel. Recognizing your progress gives you energy to continue.
Protecting victory. There is a danger that comes with winning. When you start winning consistently, the enemy changes tactics. It cannot defeat you with the old attacks, so it tries something new. Complacency. You've been doing great. You can take a break. You've got this under control. You don't need to be so rigid. One day off won't hurt. You've earned it. This is the enemy in disguise. It is no longer attacking directly. It is trying to get you to lower your guard. Many people lose months or years of progress because of complacency. They win for a while, they feel confident, they relax their rituals, they stop preparing, they let small losses slide, and before they know it, they are back where they started. Victory must be protected. This means maintaining your rituals even when you feel strong, especially when you feel strong. The morning protocol is not just for hard days, it is for every day. The evening review is not just when things are rough, it is every night. The weekly strategic review is not just during crisis, it is every week. The warrior does not train only when war is imminent. The warrior trains constantly so that when war comes, he is ready. You are at war, always. The enemy does not take days off, and neither can you. This does not mean you cannot rest. Rest is essential. We discussed recovery as part of endurance, but there is a difference between strategic rest and enemy-sponsored complacency. Strategic rest is planned. It is part of your system. You rest so you can fight again. Complacency is surrender disguised as rest. It is the slow abandonment of everything you have built. Know the difference. Protect what you have won. The warrior's life beyond battle. Here is what happens when you win consistently. The battles become easier. Not because the enemy disappears, it never disappears completely, but because you become stronger, because your rituals become automatic, because victory becomes your default state. There will come a time when getting up at the alarm requires no fight at all. It is simply what you do. The enemy has lost so many times that it barely attacks anymore. There will come a time when doing the hard thing feels natural, not because it is easy, but because you are the person who does hard things. Your identity has shifted. There will come a time when discipline feels like freedom. The discipline that once required enormous effort now flows automatically. And the freedom that comes from self-mastery, the ability to do what you want to do, be who you want to be, is unlike any other freedom. This is the warrior's life beyond battle. Not that the battles end, they never fully end, but they become smaller, less frequent, less desperate. And you build with the energy that once went to fighting yourself. You build your career, your relationships, your health, your legacy. The war within is not the point. The war is the doorway. On the other side is the life you have been fighting for. Win the war. Build the life. That is the purpose of everything you have learned.
Conclusion. The war begins now. You have now been trained. You know your enemy, the collection of fears, doubts, and destructive impulses that lives in your head and wants to keep you small. You know where the battles are fought, in the morning, at resistance points, in the invisible negotiations throughout your day. You know the compounding effect, how each small victory makes the next easier, and each small defeat makes the next harder. You have weapons, awareness, separation, opposite action, pre-commitment, environment design, identity statements, physical override, and your mantra. You know how to counterattack when you fall, immediately, without drama, using defeat as fuel rather than evidence of permanent failure. You have victory rituals, the morning protocol, evening review, and weekly strategic assessment that make winning sustainable. You know how to protect your victories, maintaining vigilance even when you feel strong, never letting complacency disguise itself as rest. You have everything you need. But none of it matters if you do not fight. The enemy is listening to these words right now. It is already planning how to neutralize what you have learned. That was interesting. Maybe I'll apply some of it sometime. That is the enemy. It wants you to treat this like every other audiobook you have listened to, motivating in the moment, forgotten by tomorrow. I'll start Monday. I need to prepare first. I need to think about it more. That is the enemy, the voice of delay, offering you the illusion of future action to prevent present action. This is too simple. This won't work for me. My situation is different. That is the enemy.
finding reasons why change is impossible for you specifically. Hear these voices for what they are, the enemy fighting for its survival. It knows that if you apply what you have learned, its reign is over. Do not let it win.
Here is what I demand of you. Within 24 hours of finishing this audiobook, you will identify 3 daily battles you have been losing consistently. You will name them. You will understand when and how the enemy attacks you in those moments. You will choose 3 weapons from your arsenal. You will decide how you will use them against your specific enemy. You will design your morning victory protocol. You will write it down, every step, every minute, every non-negotiable. And tomorrow morning, not Monday, not next week, not when you feel ready, tomorrow morning you will execute. Within 7 days, you will have won battles you used to lose automatically. Within 30 days, the enemy will be noticeably weaker. You will feel different. You will act different. Within 90 days, you will be a different person. The war will not be over. It is never fully over, but you will be winning. Within 6 months, people will notice. They will not know why you seem different. They will not see the war you have been fighting, but they will see the results. Within a year, you will look back at who you were when you started this audiobook and barely recognize that person. This is your one life, your one chance, your one war. The enemy has been winning for too long. It has been stealing your potential, your goals, your dreams. It has been keeping you small when you were meant to be powerful. No more. Today, the war turns in your favor. Today, you stop being the victim and start being the warrior. Today, you pick up your weapons and you fight. The enemy will not surrender quietly. It will attack. It will try to convince you that change is impossible, that you are too weak, that you should give up. Let it try. You are ready now. You know what you are fighting. You know how to fight it. And you know that victory is possible, not just for others, but for you. The war within has been raging your entire life. Most of it you did not even know you were fighting. Now you know. Now you fight. Now you win. The war begins now.